good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever this finds you, whenever this finds you. I have a little confession before I introduce today's guest and conversation. I'm not sure I've even told Sonya this, but for quite a long time, whenever Sonya's post would pop up on my Instagram timeline, I would quickly scroll on by. Why? Well, because the thought of contemplating midlife when I felt I was only just beginning my life after a life of rather extraordinary suppression of self and lack of choice. And on top of that, the layer upon layer of extreme poor health that added to the feeling of being encaged. You get the picture. And so for me, it was so deeply painful that here I was now already in midlife. I didn't even want to think about it. And of course, as time passes, that softens. And it's now my belief that having worked through the grief and the sense of time scarcity, it's my sense that on some soul level, I chose it all and that it's all beautiful. And that I wanted to experience what it was to not feel free in any sense of the word, so that I could experience the contrast of what freedom means to me. And so to today's guest, I certainly don't scroll on by her posts anymore because they're highly valuable, and I heart recommend you go and give her a follow on Instagram. She's a powerhouse when it comes to helping midlife women break free from stagnation and to create a life that they truly love, that they truly desire. And Sonya works with women 50 plus who feel stuck in a rut and helping them to stop settling, rediscover their spark, and wake up feeling excited about the life that they've built. So she's here to talk about something that we all experience and what this podcast is all about, on that kind of nudging through, I don't know, that's what my cat does, nudging through fear, but specifically how fear shows up for women in midlife, how it can keep us stuck, and also how we can move through it. So I hope you enjoy Sonya's insights and wisdom, and enjoy. Sonya Rose, welcome, welcome. It's so lovely to have you here for this conversation. We've had this in the pipeline for a little while, haven't we? So it's good to finally get together. Now, fear is something that we discuss a lot on this podcast. That's kind of the, how the premise of it. How do we work through it and navigate it? I would love to know then, how do you define fear, Sonya? And why do we feel it so strongly? Why is it such a challenge?
I think that's an absolutely wonderful question, Suzy. Fear is wired into us. It's our survival. Our brains are designed to protect us from danger. But in midlife, when we hit our 40s, 50s and beyond, we're no longer running away from that saber-toothed tiger. It's more about fear of change, fear of regret, and fear of running out of time. And the thing is, fear isn't always the enemy. It's something, or if something scares you, it usually means it matters. Fear is often a sign that you're on the edge of something important. But the goal isn't to get rid of fear, but to stop letting it decide for you. Stop letting it giving you direction in your life. And the other thing I think about fear when it comes to defining it is the fact that fear is a false alarm. Your brain prefers to know because that equates with safety. But our life, or the life that you truly want, that's on the other side. That's where the discomfort is.
Mm. Yes, I love that. Why do you think it is, Sonya, that fear seems to hit differently in midlife? What do you find are some of the most common fears for those, you know, women in their 50 kind of plus season of their lives?
I think what I've experienced myself and what I hear from clients is fear of running out of time. Because when we're in our 30s and 40s, we assume you have, you know, lots of time. We don't even think about our mortality. But when we hit our 50s, there's a realization, you know, what if, or is it is it now, or when will it be? And the other thing is, there's some stat around the fact that women on average in the UK, I think, live to about 82. So if that's the case, if you're in your mid-50s, there's a realization that you have, like, you know, not that many decades left ahead of you. And what do you want to do with that time? How do you want to live it? Do you want to live it intentionally? So that comes up a lot when you hit your 50s. And the other thing that hits differently, I think, around fear of when you're a midlife woman or when you're 50 plus, is this fear of making the wrong decision. I mean, women say, what if I make a change and I regret it? What I like to say to that is, what if you don't make a change and regret it? I think that's really important to think about. And the big one, I don't know if you can relate to that as well, I think, is fear of judgment. After years and years of us meeting expectations, career, family, relationships, many women, they worry, you know, what will people think if I finally choose me? It's not something they've done. You know, like I said, the children have come first, the career has come, and that's been really important. And they put their husbands, their partners, whoever, their family, their mother and father first. So what will people think if I finally choose me? That's quite a mindset shift for them. But the truth is, people are going to judge you either way. So my view is, you might as well do what makes you happy. And there's also fear of not knowing what you want. That comes up a lot as well. I think it's to do with, well, I know it's to do with your identity shift. Back to, for example, and I was only speaking to a woman this morning about it, you know, she identified herself as a mum for like 20 years, and then her kids no longer wanted her in the same way or needed her in the same way. And she kind of lost herself and she didn't know what excites her anymore. And that is completely normal because you spent decades prioritizing others, and now you're having to reconnect with yourself. So it's a journey. It's a journey.
And so much patterning, conditioning, programming. I mean, I really relate to the time scarcity thing.
Yeah.
Particularly that kind of, oh my God, where's the time gone? And I'm screwed, you know, that, and working through grief as well on that score.
Yeah.
Working through the kind of lost years, or what we might feel our lost years. Certainly that was maybe not so much if we've got a family, but certainly that was. And then the fear of the fear of judgment.
Yeah.
Again, just that kind of, I think particularly for females, isn't that case, that kind of, you know, not wanting to shine too bright, you know, not wanting to be seen to be arrogant.
Absolutely, Suzy, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong or bad about that, because, you know, we had to, or we may have had to prioritize other people at a certain stage in our life. But when we hit 50 and beyond, it's a time when people, I mean, I don't know if you've heard that discussion about, you know, us becoming a chrysalis, you know, we're a chrysalis. And it's a time of change. It's a time of shifting. It's a time of really looking at what you want. It's your time.
Oh, yes, Sonya, it's our time. I'm just going to interrupt for 30 seconds or so here, folks. We're talking about all things fear here, and something that many people fear more than death itself is public speaking. If that is you, and yet you feel that your heart has something to say, then please take full advantage of a very special offer that I'm putting out into the world for the month of April. For just £11, 11 pence, I'm going to pop up on my Substack publication 3 times per week with little micro videos on all things public speaking. For 42 years, I received weekly public speaking classes, and that's some pretty hard-won experience and knowledge in this area. So please do take full advantage. We're going to be looking at everything from the power of the pause to gestures to posture to breaking through fear, all of the things. So please just subscribe on my Substack publication. 1 month, £11, 11 pence. And now back to the beautiful Sonya. So can you share a personal story where fear has perhaps held you back, or where facing the fear led to a huge catalyst of change? What personal stories do you?
Well, I have a number, but I suppose one big one was maybe about 5 years ago now, when I was working in a large organization, and I used to wake up every single morning, and I didn't even realize this till years later, with a sense of anxiety. I could feel it in my body. I'd wake up every morning with this feeling in my body. I became numb to this feeling, but it was like a feeling of anxiousness that was constantly with me. And I was going to work, I was overthinking, I was, self-sabotaging. I was really in a bad way. And I didn't enjoy my job. I didn't enjoy the organization I was working with, but I didn't think there was any other way out. My concern was, if I leave this job, how am I going to pay the mortgage? How will it impact my lifestyle? Those are sort of things that were constantly running through my head. And I was there for, longer than I probably could have been, because of the fear holding me back. I've really felt stuck. Like I said, I wasn't eating well, or I wasn't eating well, I wasn't sleeping well, and I didn't move my body or anything like that. And then I just thought I couldn't continue, because what happens, you get to a level of awareness or unhappiness, or you get to a place where you think this can't continue. And for me, what I did is I got myself some support. And initially I got myself a coach, and, talked through about what I really want, what my values were, what it is that I want to achieve over the next 10, 20, 30 years. And over time, what I did was I started to eat better. I started to sleep better. I started going to the gym, became a bit of a spin manic person. I just love spin classes. And I dropped like about 4 stone in weight. I mean, all those things, it just goes to show how much your body, I was like a ball of inflammation. And, once I started to really care for myself and be clear about what I wanted and what I wanted to achieve and what sort of life I wanted to live, just things started to shift. So that was a big thing for me, just seeing that how I thought life had to be doesn't have to be like that. And I had the power to create the life that I wanted.
There was 2 things that really stood out to me there. One was that you became numb to how you felt in the body. And I find that interesting, because I think that we think that the mind is controlling the body, when in actual fact 80% of messaging is from the body to the mind. And yet we can kind of completely numb out to kind of what we're feeling, what sensations we're feeling, and we don't kind of quite realize the levels of stress that we're carrying around that are stored in the body. So I thought that was fascinating. And then the second point was the power of knowing our values. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't have known what that really truly meant until I was well into my 40s. And so kind of eliciting what's my top 2-3 values, I just think that's such a powerful thought, for people to ponder on.
And also to be aware that our values shift. Our values shift, because what might have been your values in your 30s are different from your values in your 40s, your 50s. Our values shift. It's a sort of thing that's worth always going back and reviewing, because our values shift, and that's all right.
And I'm sure that you can really help women in trying to fathom out that kind of what what is really meaningful to me? What are my values? So
Yeah.
I love that. What would you say for anyone in midlife women particularly listening today, what's one small thing that they can start doing today that could enable them to start moving past any of those fears that you listed before, in creating the life that perhaps their inner knowing knows they desire?
I think, well, I know, in fact, that one of the most important things, I've got three thoughts really on this, but one of the most important things is stop waiting to feel ready. Because confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from action. And often I hear women say, oh, I'm not ready, it's not the right time, etc. Or I'm fearful. And the thing is, you're never going to be 100% ready. But if you take a small step, if you get a quick win, if you're in action, that's where the confidence comes. So I really encourage women, especially who are not used to putting themselves first, to take action. Just stop waiting to feel ready. And the other thing that I think is really important is to reframe that fear. Instead of thinking, I'm afraid, so I shouldn't do this, try maybe, I'm afraid, so that must be important. So approach it with curiosity rather than, I'm afraid, so this is it. It might, if you're afraid, that's an emotion. What's that emotion telling you? Because fear means I'm about to grow. That's another way that you could reframe it. Like fear means I'm about to grow. And third point, I think I've got 4 points. And the third point was like, take one small step today. What happens sometimes is, we get overwhelmed, with, I want to get to here. And so you keep thinking about having this, this long journey you need to take to get from here to here. But it doesn't work like that. It's these small incremental shifts. That's what you require. So because fear really thrives on overwhelm, so shrink things down to taking one step. So if you want to change your career, maybe update your LinkedIn. If you want to get healthier, maybe try a 10-minute walk. If you feel isolated, you want to expand your social circles, for example, maybe text a friend. And then the next step is maybe meet that friend at lunchtime for work or for tea at the weekend or something. And then also ask yourself, what if it works? I think we are wired to think, what if I fail? But the question to ask is, what if it works? So I'm a prime example of what if it works. And I've got many clients that can testify to the mindset of what if it works. Because if this is the thing that, because this could be the thing that changes everything, what if it works? So, be conscious or catch yourself if you go to that wiring of what if it fails.
Some fantastic questions that can really help us to expand there, Sonya. I love that. And I think you've come up with the title for the session today, our conversation today. Fear means I'm about to grow.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. So if there is a woman now in her midlife listening and she's feeling a little bit stuck but scared to make a change, what is one thing that you'd want her to hear? I think you've perhaps touched on a couple of pointers there, but what if there's a sense of stuckness?
I think if there's a sense of stuckness, I think you need to be aware that fear creates that stuck cycle. You see, you wait for fear to go away, it doesn't. You stay stuck, time passes, and you regret not moving on. That's a stuck cycle. And it also then makes your world smaller because when you're stuck, you're saying no out of fear. So you're saying no to new opportunities, new experiences, new relationships. Those are things that are shrinking your life. So before you know, you're just existing, you're not living. So the real risk isn't failure, it's regret. And, at 80, you won't regret trying. What you will regret is not trying. So it's really important to understand that fear cycle. But if I was to, I do have, if I was to say, I don't know, to any woman listening now, if she's stuck and scared to make a change, what that one thing is I want her to hear. Again, there's never one thing, but it's like 3 points I want to make. Fear is part of the process. It doesn't mean stop, it means step forward anyway. Yeah. And the biggest lie is fear tells you is staying in the same place is safe. But is it really, or is it just familiar? The life you actually want is waiting on the other side of fear. I think everyone's heard that, or may have heard that quote. I think Viola Davis says it. So take the first step, even if it's a small one.
Yes, the courage comes from those little steps, doesn't it? That's where we grow the courage muscle.
Yeah. And someone was talking the other day about a fear table, I think it's called. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But it's like, one of the games you could play yourself is list all the things that really are fearful to you. And maybe at the bottom, put easy things and at the top something a bit much harder and work your way through it. It's all part of building that muscle.
I really like that. And as you were talking there, it just came to mind. I don't know why it did, but I'll trust the nudge. I was listening to the lovely Florence Given. She posted something on Instagram the other day about when we see other women really kind of putting out their light and their beauty out into the world, really get on board with supporting them to shine. Sometimes we might feel a little like, oh, I could be doing that, I want to be doing that, and that it's actually a sign that well then do it then.
I firmly agree that it is definitely a sign. It is definitely a sign.
If there's a little sense of frustration there. And I just want to, I appreciate you, Sonya, so much because you're always popping into my Instagram account and with the hearts and a little comment. And I really appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Suzy, I've told you many a time, and anyone who's listening to this podcast will know you're an absolute inspiration. And so that's why I'm very pleased to be here today. And I really appreciate your time.
Oh, bless you. And I thank you for your time, Sonya. It's been such an insightful conversation. Some wonderful questions there to go away and ponder for the listeners. If there's anyone that wants to connect with you, to find you, to work with you, where can we direct them?
Well, I am on Insta as Sonya Rose Coaching. I'm Sonya Rose Coaching. And I'm also on LinkedIn as Sonya Rose. You'll find me Sonya on LinkedIn. And I'm on Facebook as well. Not so much, but LinkedIn and Instagram, you can definitely find me. DM me. I'm always in the DMs. I'll be happy to DM you back and you'll be able to tell you more about how I can support you, all the various ways. It'd be lovely to have a chat.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you for this lovely chat. Thank you so much. And I realized about halfway through that I'd forgot to put my earbuds in. So I'm so sorry for the sound quality my end, folks. Heart apologies.